Okay, let's check this now. Hold on. Give me a sec here. Oh, wait. We should be good. We should be good. Muted, no volume. God damn it. I might have to start this over. We're good, baby. We're good. Woo. Okay. Woo. We're good. Okay. Dude, my face was getting red because I was getting embarrassed. Let's take a deep breath here. Okay. Bengals 33, Steelers 31. If you expected anything less than a very entertaining Unk Bowl between Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers, then I don't know what to tell you, because this was everything that this was everything that I expected between Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers, at least from an entertainment standpoint. Now, I was pretty surprised to see the Bengals put up 33 points, and for Joe Flacco, after the game he had, I mean, there's something about Flacco I just trust more. I can't quite put my finger on it, but this was one great game. It was a just tremendous Thursday night game to start the week, and I want to shout out specifically. There's a couple of plays within this game. Jamar Chase obviously had, he had a tremendous game, man. 16 receptions, over 150 yards, and by the way, Pat Freiermuth. The one thing I'll never understand at times is why teams, and maybe this was somebody did tweet this, might have been my guy Marcus Whitman, but somebody tweeted that maybe Pat Freiermuth just had to deal with the love fest between Arthur Smith and Jonnu Smith, but Pat Freiermuth, why would you not get him the ball more? I mean tonight was a prime example as to why to get him the ball. Now, I don't want to focus too much on the Steelers. We'll get to there for a minute, or we'll get to the Steelers in a minute. But Joe Flacco tonight, I mean, the Bengals are 3-4. I know it's only a one-game difference. By the way, shout out to all of the people in Southwest Ohio right now that are watching this. That potentially, I don't think you'd be eating Skyline at 11:30 at night, but that potentially may be eating a victory bowl of Skyline chili tomorrow. So really happy for everybody in Southwest Ohio. This is obviously a very, very big rivalry. But, guys, this was a tremendous game. This was everything we could have possibly hoped for on Thursday night. And Jamar, this was, you want to talk about a takeaway that we will discuss within the weekly takeaway, or the weekly recap that'll be out Sunday night, when that, releases at the conclusion of Sunday Night Football. One of my biggest things that I never understand is why teams do not do. Look, I know Zach Taylor gets a lot of criticism, and I'm not saying the Bengals fans don't have a rightful time to criticize Zach Taylor, but the game plan, just to get Jamar Chase the football as much as you possibly could have, credit where it's due, man. Credit where it's due. And I also thought T. Higgins played a solid game, and this was a very, very fun game all around. I don't think there's any. Look, the Steelers' defense was absolutely torched for 474 yards. So, they didn't create a turnover as well. And Tomlin even said in his halftime interview with Kaylee Hartung that, basically if we stop the run, we can have things get under control in the second half. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers had 2 first-half interceptions. I would come away with this and say, do we panic with the Pittsburgh Steelers defense right now on a short week? I don't think you should personally panic. Obviously it's not ideal. There are still positive things to take away from the Steelers within this game. The Steelers, I think, finally realized who their second best receiving option is tonight, and that was Pat Freiermuth. But look, you beat the Browns by 2 touchdowns on Sunday. You have the Packers next week. That'll be a real, hey, who are we as a team next week? Now, the Steelers, in their 4 wins, they beat the Jets. That's the Jets. Credit to, they did beat the Patriots. Now, the Patriots did turn the ball over 5 times, so there's a conversation to be had about the Steelers' defense forcing 5 turnovers to begin with. But their other 2 wins were the Vikings against Carson Wentz, and then, obviously, the Browns coming off a bye. So, I don't want to overreact and say, hey, same old Steelers, it's, 9 wins, and then it's vacation time. But, you did just allow 474 yards of offense to the Bengals. You allowed 33 points. There's conversations that should be had. Start taking underdogs on prime time. It's not a bad strategy. Now, I will say this, admittedly. When the Steelers got up 10-0, especially with Joe Flacco, I really thought we were going to see TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith and everybody. I was going to include a comment about, PFF and TJ Watt. I know Steelers fans would, have a comment about that. But I was going to say something about that, but I thought it was going to be the pass rush is going to get after Joe Flacco. Flacco might be running for his life out there, but it never happened. The Bengals outscored them 33-21 the rest of the way, and this was a very, very entertaining Thursday night game. Now, by the way, I do want to quickly, I have football analysis hat, football analysis shirt. If anybody is interested in the merch, I will go ahead and just pin that as a comment. All right, so I do also want to, get to the super chats because I know there's a lot of super chats, and I truly appreciate you guys' support more than I could ever say. So let's go ahead and interact with the chat here. Biggest takeaways though, Joe Flacco. There's something about Flacco that I trust more. Can't quite place my finger on it. If you know the reference, that's awesome. Jamar Chase, get him the football. And get your playmakers the football, as simple as it is. I mean, you don't have to overcomplicate everything. You don't have to run, these extremely complex offenses. Just get your playmakers the ball, man. That is always going to be first and foremost. And I do want to credit Zach Taylor and the Bengals offense for getting that done tonight, because I know that, like I said, Bengals fans are rightfully critical of him at times. But Dylan says, my biggest takeaway is Rodgers' arm is strong even at 41. And 100%. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, there's always a phrase about like God-given talent and that type of thing. Aaron Rodgers' arm is just unbelievable, man. And as a Vikings fan, I was with the city of Southwest Ohio, or I was with Cincinnati on that final play, because I thought, here we go, here comes Hail Mary, here comes Aaron Rodgers. But the Bengals defense, I know they have been criticized at times as well, but they batted the ball down and they escaped with a win. And by the way, one thing that I do want to say is I really feel like, this is maybe just me being a dummy, but I really feel like there is a huge difference between being 2-5 as a fan and 3-4 as a fan. Now, there is definitely, don't be afraid to ruin the hair, wear the hat correctly. I didn't think I was wearing it too wrong, but anyway. We'll go ahead and place. We'll go ahead and, I guess that's better. But we'll go ahead and just pin the hat now, or pin the hat, pin the store now. But what I was gonna say is I feel like there's a big difference between 2-5 and 3-4 as a fan. Now with the Bengals, I'm definitely not gonna get ahead of myself and say, hey, are we coming back? Is Joe Flacco, or not Joe Flacco? Is Joe Burrow gonna come back later in the year? But I will go ahead and take a quick peek at the Bengals schedule, because the Bengals offense tonight, guys, I mean, it looked good. It looked good. The Bengals next week, they play the Jets, then they play the Bears. Both games are at home. Pretty quickly, you could be looking at a 5-4 heading into the bye. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I do want to go into a couple super chats here. Let's go ahead and go to Rodgers' arm hasn't aged at all. That's from Antonio. Agree 100%. And there is a way to, let's go ahead. Here we go. All right, let's go to Super Chats. Let's go ahead and address all these. Appreciate everyone being in here. Eagles-Vikings, this is from a member. Eagles-Vikings will be a great game Sunday. It'll be something. It'll be something. It'll be a game played. Flacco was the better unk tonight from Jamie. Yeah, I mean, look, it was both guys. There were a couple times tonight where I thought they were rolling out of the pocket, and they each just threw the ball right before a defender was about to. I mean, I thought there were a couple times where I was kind of bracing for impact for him. So, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco, this was a 10 years ago game tonight. It was very, very fun to watch. And that was James, the member who said Eagles-Vikings, by the way. So, shout out James. Weisenberg, nice username. What a surprise win, like you said, any given Sunday. Look, this year is, if there's ever been a time to talk about, whether you do pick'ems, whether you gamble, whatever. If there's ever been a time to just place underdogs and just say, hey, anything could happen, it's this year. It's this year. And by the way, there was a tweet. From, I want to get this exact. Pittsburgh media or Pittsburgh fans will know who this guy is. It's Andrew. I want to say Filipponi. I want to say, that may be correct. Let me go ahead and read this exact word. Andrew Filipponi tweeted, quote, "There's no way the Steelers lose tonight. In fact, I'll get my nipples pierced with no numbing agents if they lose to the Bengals. It ain't happening." End quote. That's, I mean, look, who day, baby, who day. Go Bengals for that. That is an incredible tweet. So hopefully he actually follows through, even though I don't think he's going to. But that was definitely a very fun moment for sure. Let's take a look here. Hold on. There we go. All right. Titania, appreciate the super chat as always. I want to overreact. Steelers downgraded from 10-7 to 9-8. Yeah, I mean, tonight was, look, Steelers fans right now, 10 minutes after the game, 15 minutes after the game, are not going to be in a great headspace to sit here and have a rational conversation, but you played a team with two very elite wide, or at least one elite wide receiver, one very good receiver on a short week. The run defense, if you want to have a conversation about the run defense, I think there's a conversation that you can have, but the thing is, I wouldn't overreact too much. Now you have Packers, Colts, Chargers as your next 3 games. That's tough, but we'll see what this team is made out of in the next 3 weeks. Sir Band, appreciate the super chat as always. I'm 42, feel like I could scramble for my life if I had to. Those guys are old for the NFL, but clearly still capable. Also, Bucks or Lions on Monday. Lions don't have Brian Branch. Lions don't. I mean, the Lions are out a lot of guys in the secondary. I think I'm going to go with, oh man, I hate to bet against the Lions. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to look, I know you're a Bucks fan. I'm still going to go Lions. I'm still going to go Lions. I can't bet against the Lions losing 2 in a row. That's just not what that's not what I go against. All right. Let's see here. Jalen Warren, best running back tonight. He was awesome. I know there's obviously a lot of frustration with the Steelers defense right now. Again, the thing is, I know Steelers fans are not going to want to hear the rationale, but short division week, 2 division games in 5 days. I'm just trying to help Steelers fans with the next 10 days because I know it's going to be a long time until you play Green Bay, but I've been a big proponent of not playing division games on Thursday night, but 2 division games in 5 days. Obviously, I know the Steelers have the highest paid defense. You have every right to be mad, but I'm just saying two division games in 5 days is not setting anybody up for success, whether it's the Steelers, whether it's whoever, any other team. It's also any given Sunday more than any other year. So we'll just leave it at that. Should Stefanski be fired? No. Appreciate the super chat, Jake, but no, he should not be fired personally. I don't think so. All right. Let's see here. Weisenberg, another super chat. Appreciate it. Chargers fan with Alton Mack possibly returning against the Colts. I'm excited for this Sunday. Look, I would be too. The Chargers-Colts should be a very good game. I mean, who would have thought heading into the year that it would be this good of a game? But there's a lot of games this week that are at least interesting. I'll just leave it at that. And I'll be live for the Week 7 preview tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. But let's keep it rolling here. I did see somebody specifically say, FA, what is the... You know what? The Steelers need another 30-plus-year-old defensive player. That'll help. It's so frustrating. I understand where you're coming from. Lord save the Dolphins. What did they do now? What's up, CGB? How we doing? Steelers need to get rid of their DC. He's awful. Terrell Austin is garbage. Do you think the Steelers can have any success with Mike Tomlin as head coach? So I've kind of been, I guess, out on Tomlin for a little bit, and that's that I don't think he's going to be a Super Bowl champion head coach again, given that he was, in his first year, or second year. Was it second year? Whatever. I think second year. I don't think he's going to be again. So but it's a difficult conversation because there's a lot that goes into it. All right. How do you think the Vikings will fare at home against the Eagles? I'm not looking forward to it. Just being honest. From an offensive standpoint. All right. Let's see here. I know it isn't just the NFL. Wait, did Penn State hire somebody? What are we talking? No, Penn State didn't hire anybody. I know Cignetti went back to Indiana, which I was very upset about because I wanted Kurt Cignetti, but just hopped on. What a game. What's up, Michaela? How you doing? What a game. Unk still got it. This was peak Thursday night football. And there's a lot of Bengals Flacco jerseys right now. So shout out to all the people that are in Cincinnati or that are at the game with the Flacco jerseys. Titania, appreciate the super chat. And by the way, I am working on getting a feature within my platform, my feature within the software I use. There we go. I guess that would be whatever. To be able to have comments on the screen. So we'll be able to get that soon. That'll definitely be on the screen coming up soon. Lions fan was leaning into the 9-8 Super Bowl meme. I'm actually going to Detroit for my first ever live NFL game Sunday, Monday. Got into the NFL last year, and Dan Campbell won me over. That is awesome. Have a great time. And I would also say, if anybody in here is in Detroit or the Detroit area, I don't know if it's still good. I went there like 6 years ago. Slo's Barbecue, awesome. Could not recommend enough. All right, what else? What other do we have regarding? I'm gonna try to keep it more like Steelers Bengals. I started Jamar Chase in the Steelers defense, down 4 from the Steelers defense. Bengals looking real dumb, firing Lou Anarumo. I mean, so I don't want to take a shot at the Bengals organization because they won. They're 3-4. Bengals fans obviously know how frustrating it is rooting for this team at times. That's just kind of a fact. But who would have thought that, you know, getting rid of all of your best defensive players would result in not great results? I don't know. Maybe you should keep those said players. But anyway. All right. Let's keep it going here. I think this game just proves Flacco wasn't the problem. Just had a bad organization. He had no receivers to throw to. Look, the Browns are in a very bad situation, and it's not just because of the Deshaun Watson contract. I went back and watched Jerry Jeudy tape last week, just like, okay, you know, is it him? Is it Dylan Gabriel? What's the whole thing? There's guys dogging routes regularly, and Joe Flacco tonight was pretty much, look, Jamar here, you know, I actually wrote in my notes at one point, F it, Jamar is down there somewhere. So, I mean, I don't want to get into a Joe Flacco starting conversation here in 2025, you know, long term, or not long term because he's going to start for the Bengals long term, but I guess post 2025 or you know what I'm saying. But I would agree with the comment that you said of Flacco not necessarily being the entire problem in Cleveland because they have a lot bigger problems. But Harold Fannin is awesome. I hope Harold Fannin continues to do well. Love Harold Fannin. He's definitely not a problem. All right. Speedy, appreciate Super Chat as always. How we doing? Speedy says, just saw a stat that DK Metcalf had more tackles than TJ Watt. Put that man on a milk carton. Also, the Browns are idiots. Yes, TJ Watt. No, look, I like TJ Watt. I really do. The TJ Watt conversations right now, they are a little, they're a little feisty, or not feisty. They're a little spicy, I guess would be the word. Especially after this game when the Steelers lost, they're definitely a little. No, but I mean, look, TJ's fine. He's good. I mean, maybe. I mean, he had the one sack at the end though. He did have the one sack at the end, and I mean, he rocked Flacco. That obviously doesn't, make Steelers fans feel any better. But TJ's fine. He's not a problem. All right. Let's see here. Who do you think wins the AFC North? It's a good question. Steelers are still 4-2, and look, the Steelers, here's the thing, but the Steelers, we talked about their schedule earlier. They played the Browns on Sunday to improve to 4-1. And the reason I said this in the Week 6 recap was I would have argued that Week 6 game against the Browns was must-win for the Steelers because of the schedule they have coming up. The Steelers can still win the AFC North. I mean, they're still 4-2. So that's not over, obviously. I mean, they can beat the Packers. The Packers have been inconsistent, so they can beat them. They can beat, I mean, any given Sunday. I'll just say that, any given Sunday. But they do have a difficult schedule coming up, or a difficult part, because they have Green Bay, Indy, at the Chargers, Cincinnati again, who just beat them. At the Bears is not going to be easy. Buffalo is, I know they just didn't play well in Atlanta, but Buffalo is obviously not an easy game. They also go to Detroit. They also go to Baltimore. Baltimore always plays the Steelers tough. So let's keep it going here. AFC North up in the air. I would say so. Although I would have heavily leaned Pittsburgh had they won tonight to improve it to 5-1, obviously. And by the way, shout out to the person that said a couple days ago to move the mic away whenever I take a drink of water. So, all right. I think Bengals win AFC North. I'm not going to overreact and say that. But for real, fire Zach Taylor. He just put up 33 points. Jamar Chase just had a game of games. I'm not entertaining the fire Zach Taylor right now. That's no. By the way, if you guys are enjoying the opposite of fire, please like the stream. Please subscribe if you are not already. Would be very much appreciated. All right. Garrett, what was the fast food place you go to often? Was it called Pit Stop or something? Pit Stop Backyard Grill? I don't know. So I don't go there often because I don't have any in my area. It's a southern thing. It's Cookout. Cookout Chef's Kiss. Shout out Cookout. It just incredible atmosphere there. All right, let me make sure. Did we get all the super chats? Did we get all the super chats? Appreciate it. Garf, appreciate it. Any concern over TJ Watt becoming invisible? I don't think so, personally. No, I don't think there. I mean, TJ had a big fourth quarter sack when you needed him. TJ also, even when TJ had, the DPOY, the 20+ sack season, TJ, this is I'm choosing my words very carefully here. TJ was not a top 2 or 3 guy in the NFL in pressures. So TJ's also not a pin his ears back every single snap and get after the quarterback every single snap. So TJ, I'm not worried. Now, maybe next year when he's 32, maybe that's a conversation, but I'm not too worried about TJ right at this point in time. Do I think the Steelers miss George Pickens? Yes. But there's also a conversation to be had about how they never would have paid George Pickens. So it's kind of like, you get a 3rd round pick for a player that was going to leave in free agency anyway. I think that's good, but always enjoy your content down here in North Carolina. Yes, Cookout is great. Thank you. Cookout is awesome. Joe Flacco activated the PTSD for the Yinzers. Joe Flacco is definitely a player the city of Pittsburgh is not a fan of. Can't wait for the weekly preview tomorrow. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Why didn't the Steelers try to guard Chase within 10 yards? I don't... Look, there were a couple times this year, or a couple times tonight, where Flacco was getting the ball out quick, and it was very much like, hike, here, Jamar, get the ball. It was multiple times, so don't have an answer for that one. All right. Let's keep it going here. Say Joe Flacco plays well the next couple of months, puts them in a position to compete for a playoff spot. Would you consider bringing him back even at his age as the primary backup? 100%, yes. Backup, and then saying a team... Okay, Joe Flacco, Joe Flacco's not going to throw for 340 yards every game from here on out and have multiple... And what was it? 340 and 3 touchdowns tonight. He's not going to have that every night, or every game, obviously, right? But if he plays at a decent level, keeps the turnovers lowish, because Joe Flacco's always been a turnover guy. But if he looks good... And, if you want to bring him back as a backup next year, obviously he would have the chemistry with Jamar and T, and he would be, if he wanted to come back, that's obviously a conversation with him because he is 40. I'd be fine with the Bengals bringing him back, yes. Especially, Joe Burrow has now been injured. He's had, 3 major injuries in 6 years. So, yes. All right. Let's see here. We aren't paying Pickens $35 million, 100%. All right. Steelers overrated? No. Look, I will say this. I know Steelers fans are going to be upset about tonight, as they should be. I would be too. 2 division games in 5 days is not... I don't want to be like a victim and like cry that it's not fair. But I don't like that. It's something that I'm never a fan of. Leo, did I miss your super chat? Did I miss it? If I did, I'm looking, Leo. I'm looking. I did. Sorry, Leo. Appreciate it. Is Joe Flacco elite? Obviously, he's the elite dragon. He is, yes. Joe Flacco. It's not. He's an elite quarterback. 1,000,000%. Yes. I did actually also miss one more from Garf. Appreciate it. Most expensive defense in football, can't handle the Flacco read option. That was awesome. Also, this game should get Andrew Berry fired for his roster management. So I don't disagree with the Andrew Berry part. The Browns are in a very weird situation, just from a standpoint of, I don't think Andrew Berry's the guy. Although, ironically, the Browns did have a good draft this year. They had a really good draft this year, but they've also had several bad years of not great drafts. And then you have the Stefanski issue, and Stefanski is... That's just a whole thing, man. It's a whole thing. All right. Andrew Berry is fine. Shador will be good. All right. Let's see here. Let's keep it going here. Mark my words, Shador will be a great quarterback. I'm sure. Does Tomlin fly to Cleveland to fight Barry? So I'd hope Tomlin wouldn't waste like all that fuel, all that plane fuel to fly to Cleveland. I mean, he could just drive. It's a pretty easy drive. I've drove it multiple times. You just get on the PA Turnpike, drive it out to the Ohio border, and then you're almost there. And Pittsburgh and Cleveland, they're very very similar. I mean, not very well. They're kind of similar. They're like tough, gritty people. Shout out. There's a lot of places in Pittsburgh and Cleveland both. Fieri's Pizza in Pittsburgh. The Winking Lizard Wings in Cleveland. Both good food cities. Both cities know how to eat. Big Shot Bob's in Pittsburgh. But no, I would love to see a reporter ask Mike Tomlin about the Andrew Berry comments. Now, SFX, appreciate it. Do you think this is a missed opportunity for Pittsburgh to get ahead in the division? Yes, I do. 100%. And that was why, to go back to a comment I made earlier, that was why I said the Week 6 game against Cleveland, despite Cleveland, not going to the playoffs this year, obviously. That was why I said that it was kind of a must-win game for the Steelers, because they couldn't. I mean, if you want to get into the must-win, can't-lose conversation, sure. But Pittsburgh couldn't afford to lose that game to the Browns because of a game like this. All right. U-Tree must be in a great mood. He should be. Well, yeah. Yes, I'm sure he is. I almost said he should be like instinctively like, yeah, I agree. And then it's like, oh, no. W, Cleveland, W, Winking Lizard, those wings, chef's kiss. Will you be live for more games? Love these live streams and the Lions-Ravens games. It was fun. I'm going to be honest. I prefer the recaps because the live for 3 hours, it hurts the vocal cords, and it's a lot to pay attention to. It's a lot of mental focus. There's a lot that goes into it. But we'll see. If I am, I'll announce like long before. All right. This is the Steelers way inconsistent. It's kind of fair. I mean, that is kind of fair. All right. Jamar is the best in the world. Argue with a wall. I mean, anyway. All right. Let's see. Harry Football Analysis. What is my favorite restaurant? I mean, if we got to go chains, because there's a local place that I have where it's like a hole in the wall. Everybody has a hole in the wall, and it's one of the places where when you walk in, the place is like 20 feet by 20 feet, and you're getting a phenomenal meal. So that would probably be my favorite restaurant. It's a local place though. Or there's this other place that has. I mean, I live in Maryland, so obviously we do our seafood well. We do our crabs well. The great state of Maryland, of course, top 5 state in the country. That's definitely an argue with a wall there. But 2 local places I like. But chain wise, dude, I'm gonna be honest. I don't go to like many sit down chain restaurants. I'm just a big like Chipotle, Chick-fil-A. I mean, that's not like a restaurant though. I'd actually have to think about like the chain like that people would know. I'll get back to that one. Garth, appreciate Super Chat. Do you think ownership is ever going to get tired of Tomlin not having this team ready as favorites in divisional games? 0-7 TNF versus the division. Okay, so I'll be honest, did not know that stat regarding the 0-7 part on TNF versus the division. I have some thoughts on Steelers ownership. Look, I know Chuck Noll, RIP, and Bill Cowher they won Super Bowls, and then Mike Tomlin. They've only had 3 head coaches since 1969, since the AFL-NFL merger. But I also don't think that's a coincidence. They've been good enough to not have to fire any of those guys. And I think the Steelers, I just think that they're, let me just say this, the Rooneys are not like the Waltons, if you will, where it's like, hey, if you're not performing, you're getting out the door by the end of year 2. So I got to be honest, unless the Steelers go like 4-13 for multiple years, I think Tomlin's going to be there as long as he wants the job. All right. Is Marcus going to be on the preview tomorrow? Absolutely. Steelers need to blow it up soon. The problem is, well, actually, not really a problem. I mean, TJ's 31. Cam Hayward, you just got to ride it out. You're not going to get anything substantial with him. He's a 15-year vet. That's That's nothing. That's nothing. You're not going to get anything for that. TJ, you'd have to trade this offseason. Then DK you just paid, so you'd keep him. It's a conversation worth having. Whoa, $50, 50 burger. Ty, appreciate it. Appreciate the 50 burger. Ty Kendall, thank you very much. As a Bengals fan, I have two things to say. For the love of God, let us see what Tyson Anderson can do. Geno Stone is not it. Very fair. Geno signed a 2-year deal from the Bengals, or from the Ravens, rather. Geno had a big year in Mike McDonald's defense in 2023, and he was in some ways kind of a product of that, but now you see it. But anyway, and then he also says, anyone unironically saying there's a quarterback competition is delusional. Flacco is good. He's not Burrow. Does anybody actually... Wait. Are there actual people that would... There's no like sensible person that's actually like saying, hey, Joe Flacco, Joe Burrow competition. There's no like actual sensible person, right? Like I don't talk in absolutes, and say like, hey, there's a lot of loud sports media, and I try to be reasonable in terms of how I talk about the game in terms of my takes, right? I will get loud and say that Joe Burrow is better than Joe Flacco. That's shouldn't have to get loud about that one. But there are people. Okay, so nobody in the chat. I would like to also think that our community that we have here is a lot smarter than to go out and say outlandish things like that. All right. Also another 10 super chat from Grayson. Appreciate it. Thank you, Grayson. Grayson says, this is the most ridiculous thing I'll say. TNF feels rigged. Heavily favors the home team. AFC North 2-18 in division. Thursday games 0-10 in the last 10 games. Yeah, this game was... So I'm going to make a joke here, Grayson, and then I'll actually discuss this. It was rigged for the AFC North tonight, I'll tell you that. It was, look, there was no doubt in my mind that an AFC North team was going to come out on top tonight. Now, regarding that, there was one questionable call that let me actually have this conversation now. The one call at the end of the first half on Joey Porter Jr., the defensive pass interference, I wrote this down in my notes. It was 14-10. They made it 17-10. Technically, it was a DPI because you could see like the jersey like a little bit as somebody was making a cut inside, but they were running an inside. Let me do this way so we can see it. They were running an inside route, and they were like where my hand is, and Flacco threw the ball. If they're running this way, Flacco threw the ball like all the way back here, and I think there should have been a bigger conversation about that ball not being catchable, which is ironic now because it was a 2-point loss. But I'm also not saying, hey, the Steelers lost this game because of a first half call on Joey Porter Jr. There's also still a chance that McPherson would have drilled. I think it would have been like a 50 or 58 yarder at that point. But I think that's, if anybody remembers that specific call, I think that's a conversation. At least that call was not great. Now you can do several bad calls without, like throughout the game. But I thought that was not a great call. Football analysis. Have you been to a football game recently? I was at the Oregon-Penn State game. I do not go to any NFL games at all, just because of the weekly recaps. And as soon as 4:00 hits, it's very much like laptop screen the rest of the night. So I don't go to any games. The weekly recaps are a prioritization over me going to an NFL game. So that is, yes, I don't go to NFL games. But I did go to one college game this year, Penn State, Oregon. The only game, it was awesome. The atmosphere was spectacular. As a Penn State fan, did not like the result, but the atmosphere was awesome. It wasn't catchable, but he did grab him. So should it have been a holding? Yes. I will say that, yes. Probably rather than a spot foul. Again, I still think that the field goal would have been made by McPherson, who's a good kicker, but I think it's a conversation that would be worth having. Cease, appreciate it. Joe Flacco is elite. Look, I'm all for the elite dragon Joe Flacco comments. Yes, I'm all for them. All right. Do you know when refs will get paid better so they could stop calling bogus stuff? Let's see here. Zach Taylor has a longer coaching tree than Tomlin. That's a wild stat. I did not know that. All right. I should be a commentator. I don't know about that. Don't know. Definitely not for the Vikings. I get way too into the game. Could not. Saw the Cincinnati extension and know several teams were sick. I was sick. Yes. I wanted it. Look, I know the Pagulas, who are the Bills owners, to just throw money towards Curt Cignetti going to State College. Would I go to Vikings, Ravens, Vikings, Commanders if they came to either Baltimore or Washington? So I have before, plenty of times. I went to the game back in 2021. That was in the peak Mike Zimmer blows the lead every single week game. And then in 2013, here's a story, I guess, that I've never told. Not that I'm like gatekeeping or whatever, or keeping secrets out here. The infamous game, the Vikings Ravens, the game that was like 9-6 with 3 minutes to play. It finished 34-31 or whatever. I was at that game. The snow game in 2013. Marlon Downtown Brown caught the game-winning touchdown. I was there. I was at that game. So that was pretty cool. And Vikings, Redskins football team, Commanders have not been to FedEx Field, honestly, since post-COVID, but been to FedEx Field multiple times. It is also, there's a reason they need a new stadium. I'll leave it at that. All right. Appreciate the stream. Going to sign off for the night. See you for the weekly preview tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Appreciate the support. By the way, if you guys are, like I said, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please like. We're at 134, so let's get it up to 160. Appreciate everyone being in here. My dad somehow was given tickets to the Miracle, but I didn't care about football, so I didn't go. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. What was your lowest point as an NFL fan for the Vikings? For me personally, it was I was 11 years old in 2009, and when Favre threw the interception across the field, like cross-body interception to Tracy Porter, and then Garrett Hartley made the field goal, that was bad. That was 2017 against the Eagles, 38-7. So I've seen 2 NFC Championship games in my life that I have memory because I was alive for 98 and 2000. I don't really consider one where, I was language here. I don't really consider a game that I was shitting my pants for as a football memory, even though I was alive. So I've been alive for 2009, 2017. 2017 was very much like, look, they kicked our rear ends. They are the better team. Good luck the rest of the way. The Saints, it was like we turned the ball over 6 times. It was tough. But anyway, this is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl. Didn't really need that one. Didn't really need that comment. But anyway, you are right though. All right. Let's see here. Oh, Blair Walsh. By the way, Blair Walsh. Yeah. So actually, while we're on that, the thing was, it was like, Saints still outranks Blair Walsh. Blair would be 2. Blair would be 2 because I will be so serious that after the Blair Walsh game, like you see the kick, you watch it live and then you just see it just veer left. My stomach felt like from the time, that was a 1 p.m. kick. So the game ended at probably 4:09 p.m. Eastern, right? From the moment that I saw him, and this probably isn't healthy at all, but when that kick was missed, like my stomach dropped like I was in a roller coaster. If you've ever done if you've ever done the roller coasters at amusement parks, and when your stomach drops going down a big hill, my stomach dropped after that play, and it stayed like that till I went to bed. Like that's how high the nerves were. That's how high the emotions were. I was a senior in high school, so I was watching the game with my dad. Had a buddy over for the game, and obviously he knew it was. The situation was what it was. He didn't say anything. He just left without saying a word, and it was very ugly. But all right, CG8, did I see your comment? What comment here? I see some laughing emojis. What other comments here? Take some time to go to an NFL game. You deserve it. So I appreciate that. I was actually going to, I know I said I don't go to any NFL games. I was planning on going to the Vikings-Rams game at SoFi last year. And basically, I was going to stream the Sunday. I think it was stream the Sunday night and then fly out Monday morning, whatever. Maybe not. I don't remember what it was. But then the fires happened. Obviously, that's way bigger than a football game. So I was going to go to the Vikings-Rams, the game that Darnold, in that game. But it didn't happen. They played in Arizona, had already bought the tickets at SoFi. Or actually bought the plane tickets, did not buy the tickets at SoFi. But no, I'm not going during the regular season. We're not doing that. The recaps take precedent over that. All right. Hope we get to see your Vikings win the big one someday. Me too. Me too. Yeah, I would enjoy that as well. Let's see. When was the last time you watched an NFL game purely for entertainment? No notes, no analysis. Appreciate the super chat, Leo. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm always like making notes in the back of my head, you know, like. So, I mean, the other night, Bears Commanders was fun. I wasn't taking notes for that game specifically, but I enjoyed watching that game. I guess that would be one. Mainly Thursday night, I take notes big time because I got to go live for immediately after. Not have to. I enjoy this. I enjoy being here with you guys, right? But, I would say Monday nights are more. Sunday nights are, you know, I'm watching a lot for entertainment as I'm concluding the recap to get the recap out after the game. I would say Monday nights. But, and again, yes, sorry 100% for everybody that was affected by those fires. Like me missing out on a game, nothing compared to what those people had to go through. But that was the actual last game I was going to go to. But, you were right about the Steelers sealing season. Sorry for doubting you. That's the biggest thing with the Steelers, man. Look, I wish I was wrong, and the Steelers could still right the ship. I mean, but in terms of Super Bowl, which they didn't bring Aaron Rodgers in to, hey Aaron, let's go win 9 games, buddy. You know, go have us lose in the wild card round again. They didn't bring him in for that. All right, let's see here. Enjoys what he's doing. Easy to tell by the energy. I appreciate that. Thank you, Isaiah. Appreciate that. Hurts to be an Eagles fan. Eagles Saints 2024 took 5 years off my life. Which game was that? Do you mean 20? I'm trying to think. Eagles Saints 2024. I'm blanking on that game. I really am. I have to look this up. Eagles Saints 2024. Yeah, by the way, if you are still here, please comment your most stressful game. And then comment like your fan base, and then if you're watching this after the fact, please comment like the most stressful game you've had, or the game where you were just like, just one of those games. I would really love to read these. 22. I'm still trying to think. Last year at the Super. Okay, now it's coming back to me. It was like week 3. I'm sitting here thinking it was like a week 17. I was thinking of the game that Gardner played a couple years ago. Yeah, 15-12 final score. That was coming back to me now. Super Bowl 50. That would, yeah, dude. I cannot imagine. This is gonna sound sad. I cannot imagine waiting all day for the Super Bowl. Just as a fan. I can't imagine that as a fan of it. Like, knowing you're going to play later that night, 1 60-minute game for the rest of our lives. I would love to have that feeling someday. We'll see. JJ will get us there. JJ will get us there. Hopefully. Please. Vikes fan was at both Blair Walsh game and the Josh Allen come out game. Dude, oh my God, the Josh Allen 2018 week 3. That was awful. That was awful. That was so bad. Also, the Blair Walsh game, the fact that you had to sit there in the cold was also... Whew. Packers, 49ers, 2019 NFC Championship. Most are running for 300. I'm not going to lie. Heading into that game, I was actually... The 49ers were a wagon. I wasn't... I mean, and I didn't think the Packers were that great that year. I thought the Packers had a lot better team the following year. But... All right. As a Browns fan, I'll never have to worry about that. Look, I mean, we get to the playoffs, we lose in the playoffs. So it's your season ends a week earlier. When a player for the Packers muffed the onside kick, I'm not going to say his name because I actually feel bad for that dude. That his name is synonymous with that. I actually do feel bad for him. So respectfully, I'm not going to say his name. As a Falcons fan, 28-3, yeah, if you're a Falcons fan, that's the easiest one. Sorry. Seahawks Patriots 2016 gets a mention. Our season ends in late October. Not like the Browns haven't made the playoffs in 100 years. You ready? Okay, I'll actually add this, considering we're talking about the Steelers recap. Right now, for the TJ Miles debate that always goes on, Myles Garrett has 1 playoff win, TJ has 0, and Miles' playoff win was over TJ Watt. For anybody that wants to dive into that toxic debate. I'm just pointing out a fact. TJ Watt also won a Defensive Player of the Year before Miles. So I'll just leave it there. I'll counter with that. All right. Let's see here. Watching the Niners lose 3 Super Bowls always puts a smile to my face. And then somebody actually above that was talking about the Niners Super Bowl losses. All right. Watching the Vikings playoff game last year was stressful. It was, dude, the one sack Darnold took, I'm not exaggerating, was one of the single worst sacks I've ever seen a quarterback take. It was awful. All right. Let's see. Birds fan, all those playoff losses in the early 2000s. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yep. The ones at the vet. And yes, last Thursday, since I now work in NYC and had to hear from Giants fans at work. Happy Friday Eve. It is actually Friday here. It's 12:15 here on the East Coast. My man Rondé Barber. Rondé is a tremendous dude. I got to meet him earlier this summer, and he's an awesome dude. Just could not have been better. He just class act. Love Rondé. I would actually love to interview Rondé at some point. He's awesome. He's a beast. The NFL didn't want the Saints in that 2017 Super Bowl. Miles is better than Watt, but Watt does have a big play factor to him. Coming from a Packers fan, so no bias. TJ went to Wisconsin. Just saying. No, but I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean, Dylan. I do. Let's see here. Please interview Rondé if the opportunity presents itself. I'm not just calling him on speed dial for a quick Zoom tomorrow. If the opportunity presented itself, I would love to. There's actually a lot of people I'd love to interview, but hopefully we'll get there. Let's see here. 2021 wild card Rams. Wait. 2021. Who? Oh, the Rams Cardinals. Okay, I was like, what? Who did they play? Okay. Yeah, that was tough, especially with the 7-0 start. DMV, absolutely. Shout out to DMV. Shout out to the state of Maryland. Like I said, top five state in the country. I will actually argue big time that Maryland's a top 5 state in the country. Big time. All right. Let's see here. There was one comment that I actually really... Oh, would I ever get a Packers jersey? I'm starting to venture out into other teams' jerseys. I really am. I actually ordered a Bucks jersey a couple weeks ago. If the Bucks, I hope they play it. Do they play on TNF later in the year? I feel like everybody plays on TNF. If they do, I'll wear it after the game. I had to. I have 3 non-Vikings jerseys. Packers. Look, if somebody went there that I like, yes, I'm not going to ever say no definitively. We play Atlanta on TNF. Okay, thank you for that. I will probably be live. The Bucks have to win, but if they'll be live, or if they win, I'll be live after the game wearing a Bucks jersey. Now, I will be honest. I've definitely thought about getting a Falcons jersey. It would be the black jerseys they wore the other night are the best Falcons jerseys, in my opinion. But Louisiana top 5. I'm not going to get into other top 5s. I'm just saying that Maryland's top 5. Do I want an Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey? Amon-Ra would not be my choice for the Lions. It would actually be Jahmyr Gibbs. I love Jahmyr. Love Jahmyr. I loved him in Alabama, and now Jahmyr Gibbs rips my heart out every time we play him. Because every time we play the Lions now, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I think Jahmyr Gibbs he might have like 7 touchdowns in 4 games against the Vikings. But it is what it is. Which Bucks player? It is Emeka Ibuka. Loved him at Ohio State. He's such a great player, so I did order an Emeka Ibuka jersey, but that was the jersey. But let's see here. When Bijan beats Baker on TNF, you got to buy the jersey. I might just buy it now. And the only thing with Bijan, because I love Bijan. I've debated on the Texas jersey or the Falcons. But let's see here. Thoughts on getting a Rico Dowdle jersey? I love Rico. I love everything he's doing. That could be a jersey where it's like, hey, did you get a Peyton Hillis Browns jersey? I hope Rico sustains this success, but we could be talking about a 1-year guy. We'll see, though. All right. That'll actually wrap up tonight's stream. So I appreciate it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. We will be live 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and appreciate everybody who came. And I want to give a big shout out, just a huge shout out to Ty. I appreciate everybody who sent super chats, but big shout out to Ty. Appreciate everyone being here. And if you guys have not watched the NFL trade video before the trade deadline, I recommend going to watch. So that will wrap up tonight's stream. Steelers, I don't think there's anything too huge to overreact to right now. Definitely monitor, obviously, because you just gave up 475 yards to the Bengals, but it it could definitely be worse in the grand scheme of things. Two division games, 5 days is a tough draw for anybody. So could be worse for the Steelers. But I also think that they'll be okay in the long run. They're still 4-2. There's still multiple games up in the division. And the Ravens are still 1-5. So that'll wrap up. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.